Okay, first of all, when you look at the applets in the course Blackboard for this project, we need to show the point over here. So let me just click there. It's matching with the grid points, which means eventually the center of the circle could be anywhere, but for practice purpose, we want to assign the integer values only for the x coordinate and y coordinate of the center. Then our students could move around this point to find the center of the circle, and if they get the right position of the center, we want to show uh, some text like yeah, you got right center or something like that, right? So the problem here is if we don't do certain steps here, certain settings here, then it's very difficult to get that result, like when students got the right center of it, right? Especially when you look at this one and go to, oh, no, not this one. Just in general, do not select any object. Just in there, there is a kind of a magnetic marking, and that is automatic, snap to grid, fix to grid. So automatic is enough, but especially when you're off from there, then your students could really place the point wherever they want, and there is no snapping into some grid points whatsoever. So it's very difficult to find that exact position of the what we are looking for. Like a 1,1 is very difficult to find it actually, or place the point at that point, right? So make sure in this graphic view window, just select that, and on that magnetic view, click snap to grid. Then when you're moving this point, you can realize, look carefully, it's snapped to that grid points. Can you see that? My hands is not going to that before yet, but the point is snapped to that grid points, right? So in that way, students could really place their points at the right position, and GeoGebra could understand what's going on, right? So please make sure that one. And another one is, yes, to help your students, we want to put some grid information like that. But because we want to handle many different cases, so like in the app, in the course Blackboard, we want to put some like a -5 to 5 and -5 to 5 for the Windows. So you can use this mouse wheel, okay, zooming in, zooming it out, but if you go zooming it out a little bit too much, then you lose the unit size 1 and it changed to unit 2 because it's too much information there, right? So if you really want to show this unit 1, or you want to use 1 as a unit value, then right click and go to there, and you already know that x-axis, the distance should be 1, and y-axis also distance 1, or select 1 from there, doesn't matter. That, hit enter, don't forget that. Then as you can see here, those ones, okay? And especially for grid, we don't want to see all these minor grids, right? Just the major grid is enough. So select grid and choose major grid lines only. Okay. And even we don't need that much solid line for grid. So the line style, maybe just the dot line is enough for that. Okay, so that's our setting. Then after that, even you zooming in further, still the unit size is 1. Okay, if you don't go that much too much, right? But like that. So okay, let's say it's around -5 to 5 and 5 to 5. Okay, I think that's good size of it. And the points move freely like that, but it's snapped to the grid points always. Okay, so it's good. And you just put the text in over there like that. Now the key point is there is a checkbox, and whenever you click the checkbox, you see the equations are changing. Okay? So the numbers in that equation for circle is randomly chosen. Okay? So let me just put that one, and in the hint, after this app, you see how to find the random numbers in GeoGebra, right? Just random and NNM is enough, right? So let me make just one text here. Let's say, yeah, it's LaTeX. Okay. Let's say X, and we want to put some values, right? Okay, so X plus minus, okay, it depending on how you handle those values, right? We already have this one before, so just make sure that. So I'm not going to do that here, but let me just put plus, okay, and we want to put some movable value, right? Okay, so changeable value, so like this, and that should be random, right? And random between what? So at this moment, let me just say negative 5 to 5. Okay, you see that? And I need to close it. Okay. And of course, I have to make it square, and plus we need to do the same thing for y, right? So let me just put that on too. Okay, cool. And y plus portion, I need another random number, right? And negative 5 to 5. Of course, let me handle this R later. So that's what we are going to get. Now, as you can see here, we don't like it, right? Plus minus, right? So you need to handle this one, and we already cover how to change uh, the, the sign, right? It's a plus minus. So you have to, like using if statement, right? If the random number is greater than or 0, okay? So you need to, we know how to set this one, okay? So there are many different ways. So what I'm showing here is not what I'm suggesting, right? I'm just trying to show you how to handle these random numbers, right? That's the key point. The other one, you already know how to do that, right? So don't give me this kind of bad kind of equations, okay? It's like a y plus 0. No, we don't want to do that. It should be just y squared without parentheses, right? So circle, we already have a really nice way to do it, right? You just make a circle first, right? And you can do that. So instead of putting this random stuffs in there directly, it's better to have x random, right? Or x ran is enough, right? So x ran is random between, right? Okay. In this case, negative 5 to 5. Okay. So in algebra view, it's like this, right? Okay. So we have it. Maybe it's better to show you there. Okay. So in circle equation, you can define like x ran, right? Square this RAN that and plus something like that, but let me put it there. Okay. So if it's negative 5, then it's negative 5 automatically, right? So the only problem is when x becomes 0, the value becomes 0, then you might have still x squared, right? So please check, you know how to do that. Now, the problem here is, okay, we need also the radius. It should be also randomly changeable. So let me define x random and y random is random between 35 to 5. Okay, same thing for y, and even radius random, right? Rn. Okay, so random between. Now, let me, because it's a radius, so and we only thinking about integer values right now, so it must be just 1 through something, right? So let me just put there. So these are 3 random numbers that we want to handle. Okay, then we can define our equation, right, using those, right? So y, I don't want to give you a hint, but to do certain things, I need to do that. Okay, so equals RRAN square, right? So apply RRAN. Okay, so maybe to make sure that just times RRAN one more time. Okay, x1 y1 Yeah, it should be like this. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, let me make that equation again. Make the circle equation again. So x plus x when square plus y when square equals radius when square. Okay, can you see that? Excuse me. Okay, so it's good, right? Then we want to make that circle here. So all we need is just put that circle there. So choose circle and showing that circle in graphic view 2, right? Not 1. So select 2. So it's negative. Okay. Yes, we need to change the view, right? Okay, so it appears over there. Okay, so that's our the real circle. Where should it be, right? But we want to have our circle, okay, appears when your students got the right position of your center, right? Like a 5, 3 like this, okay? So in this case, we need to put some condition for that circle, right? Only when the x coordinates of that point A, right? So x coordinates of A equals x random, right? But now you see the differences. If x rand is negative 5, then actually the value becomes positive right there, right? So you should be very careful about it. So it's negative x rand, right? And y coordinates of A is equal to negative y rand, okay? So that's the only, so if you move somewhere else, the circle disappears, right? So that's how our students knows about it. So like once again, 5, 3, yes, it appears. And then this is why it's so important to set the snap to grid, right? Because it's very difficult to matching these two values over there unless you assigning this way, okay? So anyway, so we almost finished over there. The only problem right now here is, okay, can you see that? I'm doing something and these random numbers are changing, right? Okay. So of course we don't want to do this one here. I think that should be enough, right? Okay. So that's the easiest way to handle. If it's a circle, then we got that, right? Now I'm doing something here. So you see all different cases. So for example, this case, yeah, it's not okay. This is the case. First of all, how to change these random numbers? Use F9 key in your keyboard. Okay, then it's changing. Of course, we are going to assign the checkbox later, but that's another way, so you don't forget that. Now, the problem is for like, let's say this case. You remember when you make these random numbers, it's between negative 5 and 5 for x ren and y ren, especially. So you choose 4. Then the actual x coordinates of center is negative 4. It's not in there, right? It's off from the window. Okay? So we want is all these necessary values must be visible within the given window. Even your students might change your window, right, like that, right? So no matter how they choose, we always want these random numbers must be appears in that window. So random from negative 5 to 5 is not enough. It must be related to the minimum value and maximum value of x and y's. Okay? So this random is not just negative 5 and 5 anymore. It must be changeable something. Okay? And that's actually explained in the next hint. Okay? So please look that. But this is my hint. Listen carefully. If my window looks like this way. Okay? Then we want the x-coordinates of the center of the circle should be starting from -3 to 5 only, right? And if it's going further like that, then it should be -1 to 7. So as you can see here, we only want integer values, okay? Not this one. Okay? And even further, if we choose that one as the center of our circle, then the minimum radius of our center is 1, right? So even it's 1, still we might not see the entire circle in that case, right? Who knows, if even the radius is 2, right? Randomly chosen value 2, then it should look like this way, then we definitely lose some portion of circle. We don't want to do that either. Okay? So we have to change the value for our random too, okay, according to the choice. But first, so key point is because the minimum size of radius is 1, therefore, for example, in this window, the minimum possible value for the x coordinates of the center of the circle should be 0, right? Then we still have chance to have radius 1 and seeing all these circles together. So key point is, after we decide these x random, y random numbers, the radius random number must be chosen by the choice of it. Okay? You follow me? So be careful. So in this window, this random number for x rand must be 0 to actually 6 only, right? So how can you do that? How can you let the GeoGebra understand the situation? Now, GeoGebra knows what is this minimum x value is. Okay, can you see that? When you right click and go to graphics, in the graphic, in x-axis, no, in the basic, it knows what the x min and x max, right? All this stuff. It came from the corner points 1, corner points 2, right? You know, please get the hint, right? You need to know that that's corner point 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a sign there. So we just need x coordinates of corner 1. Then it gives us this negative 1.7 something, right? Then we want to drop these decimal parts. We only accepting the integer part of it. It must be greater than actual x minimum, right? So we want to get -1 and we need to make it +1. Okay, so our random number for x must starting from somehow to get the integer value of it and +1. But for the maximum value, somehow it must be go to 7 point something, but we want to get 7 only, but 1 less than that number. Okay, so let's find the minimum possible value for x coordinates of it, and we know the corner points. Okay, that is here, but we only need x coordinates of it. Okay, so you don't need to do this, but let me just give you the name of it and to see that, right? Can you see that? A is -3.5. Oh no, it's a -3.9. And be careful, before we do this, my command was corner 1, right? But that is for graphic view 1. Be careful. Right now, we are looking for the domain of graphic 2, right? So to get that one, actually, in corner, when you start typing it, corner, then there is graphic view number of corners, right? We need this one, right? So corner, graphic view is 2, and the number of corner is 1, right? And of course, x coordinates of it, hit enter, then now it gives us -1.82. That's the one, right? Now, we want only -1, which means it's greater than, some integer greater than actual value like that, right? So, let me change this one. The a value is actually ceiling of it, right? So to show you, let me just cut that out. And ceiling, right? Ceiling of any real number, and that real number is the one that we found, right? Okay, like that. So hit enter and see what happens to this value. Now it returns negative one, right? Okay, you follow me? And we need one more than that, right? So save one first, so plus one. Finally, this should be the safe, the initial points for x coordinates of our center, right? So look at here, that should be your command, right? Ceiling of x coordinates of corner 1 in second graphic view and plus 1, right? It's really complicated, but that's the one you need. So in x random, so let me just copy those portions and go to x coordinate, x random, and initial setting was just random between -5 and 5, but instead of -5, I want to put that value, ceiling means integer of x coordinates of 1 in the second coordinates and plus 1. Of course, therefore, we need to do something about 5, okay? But later, hit enter, then see. Now, if I just pick any random numbers, look at that value, right? It's never become negative, right? No matter what. The smallest possible value is 0, right there, right? Or over. Okay. You see that? Okay. Then how can you do the maximum value? It's going to be really simple, really similar to that. The only difference is instead of ceiling means it's a ceiling, right? So it's greater than actual value, but we are looking for smaller than the actual value, right, of the corner coordinates, right? So that case is floor, right? Ceiling and floor. So instead of ceiling, you just put floor, right? Floor of such a number. So it's going to be same, but right now for that part we need corner 2 points, right? So in the second coordinate we need second corner, right? And if we choose it without plus 1, actually it returns 7, but we need one less of it. So in this case, instead of plus 1, we need minus 1. Okay, it returns 6 right now. So then the x random case, for this one, we need to put that, right? Of course, not entirely floor, okay, like this. So over here, must be it. So hit enter. And now, from now on, when we hit change the random numbers, this number is only between 0 and 6. Now, most important thing is, when by accidentally, our students might change the dimension like that, right? So let's say from -4 to 4, right? Now, from now on, when you hit the random number, can you see that? It could become -3, right? But only from -3 to, we have, let me, okay, so it's going to be -3 to 3 only, right, for that random number, okay? Okay, so now you just do the same thing for y random number, right? Just using, be careful, y coordinates, not x coordinates of corner 1 and corner 4, right? Not corner 2, be careful. So, and another thing is, okay, after we have those numbers, x random and y random, all that kind of stuff. So, my suggestion is, for x random, we already have those numbers, right? It's a random number already, but it's just too much, right? So this ceiling of that portion, let me get it, and that becomes this one. Let me say that. And instead of a, this is x min. Okay? So the meaning is x min is no matter what. Okay, let's change it. Look at here, the value of x min, -1, right? This is here, right? Okay. That's good, right? So you just assign x min, x max, y min, y max, and the random number for x is only between x min to x max, right? Okay, you just define another one in the middle, right? So that is way better. Then the number for radius is, look at here, it's only from, so it depending on what these two values are, right? This random choice. Okay? So eventually, when we choose x random, y random, that's the coordinates of our center of the circle, right? So let's say 3 and 4. So it's going to be 3 and 4 is over here. Then after we choose those x random, y random numbers, by that we know how far this center is from each side, right? So for example, from this side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7. And from this one, it's only 1 and something. So it's only 1, right? And also, let me make sure like that. So 1 and something and more. Then what is going to be the possible radius of the circle? It must be only 1, right? Because it's go further, like a 2, then we have some missing portion of circle, right? So the choice of random number for radius starting from 1, that's the minimum, right? But how can it go? It's depending on, right? It must be the minimums among this distance, right? So listen carefully. If our x random, y random is like that, for example, like that, then eventually the minimum value for radius is just 1, it's fixed, but maximum radius in this case it should be also 1, right? And that one is minimum of it, right? So let me change according to this. We have to choose -2 and 4, right? That's the case. Then minimum radius must be 1 still, but the maximum radius must be also 1 because that's the minimum value among all this distance, right? For distance, that's the one. So in some cases, we might have like this, right? Let's assume that that's our center from x and y net. Then what is the minimum distance? Actually 2, right? 3, 7 or 6 or something like that. So 2 is the minimum distance among these 4. Then what? That too must be possible maximum radius. So either the radius becomes 1 or 2. Still is okay, right? So that's how we decide this r random. So in random value for r, it must be between 1 is fixed, okay? But 5, the maximum random number for radius must be minimum, okay, out of certain values. And that value is what? The distance, okay, between that center to the x-min, right? So we already have x-ran, y-ran, right? So let me give you just one case. From x-ran minus, x-min, right? X-min is that value, right? Now, be careful, x-min is one larger than possible value, right? So in this case, we need to kind of subtract one more to get this value. It's very complicated. Please play with it. So that is only one number, okay? The distance from that point to that. Another one is from here to there. So to get it, to calculate it, actually that value is greater than this one, right? So x max, after you define it, it's going to be x max minus this coordinate. X coordinates of that is x ran, right? But be careful, x max is actually this one, right? Not that one. So we have to have x max plus 1 minus x ran. We and we only have two values, two distance values, so we have to include the other two along the y-axis. So we still need to like about y and another y. Okay, so out of these four values, we choose the minimum of it, right? And that becomes our possible maximum value for the radius. Phew, okay, that's really complicated ones, but I want to get that one. Okay, that much. Then after that, for any random choice of those numbers, all we are going to see, we are placing the center in the safe place within the window and even the entire circle must be visible. Okay. The last one. Okay, then we can guide like, yeah, use just F9 key in the keyboard to randomly choose. But how about make a checkbox? Okay. And this checkbox name, just follow that hint in the app, in the course Blackboard. It says reset the circle. Okay, so yeah, whenever you click it, it's change the coordinates, right? So that is enough at this moment. So apply, that is okay. And let's say the name is A. Okay, it can be B, it can be C, depending on how you make all these stuff, right? Now, then for these random numbers, whenever we click it, we want to change this one, right? We want to reset these values. So, for example, when you go to xmin, it's in this hint, right? In the Blackboard. Not only give these values over there like that. Xmin is random, right? Okay, random between xmin and xmax, right? Eventually, we are going to change this xmax, okay? But not only xmax or xmin, we just put plus if statement, we are familiar with that, with whether a is 0 or not, okay? So please read that hint in the course Blackboard just before that project. So when you read this one, if a is 0, 0, what does that mean? If a is true, which means equals 1, which means when a is selected, right? So when a is selected, this value is 0, right? Return 0. But if a is not 1, then return 0, which means what? Yeah, it's the same returning value. And even that value is 0, which means xmax plus 0. So it doesn't change the value of xmax at all. The only thing this one is doing is because GeoGebra needs to recalculate because of this command. When you click this checkbox, which is named A, right? So when A condition is changing, GeoGebra needs to calculate this one, but no matter what, it returns 0. Then because of the calculation, this random command for xmin, xmax, right? Yeah, we need, yeah, because it's random, right? We really need to recalculate, okay, for randomness. So by that, when you click it, these values are changing, okay? So I'm just giving you hints, but all the necessary hints over here. So if you combine this information together, definitely you can see the changes of these values whenever you click these ones, okay? And see all the necessary objects within the window, okay? Have fun with this.